We are starting with the audio test. Samsung Galaxy S24 has triple camera setup with that 50 megapixel sensor. And we have Samsung Galaxy S25 with audio eraser. Hope you can hear the audio difference. I think that's it for the quick audio test. Now let's check some more instruments. On the widest field of view on portrait mode, you can see that the skin is a little bit pale on Galaxy S24 and warmer on Galaxy S25. Outdoors, you would notice that S25 has better exposure looking at my jacket, and Galaxy S24 crushes the blacks.
All of this looks like gold.
In terms of details looking on my face, it's smoother on Galaxy S25 and there's more details on Galaxy S24.
Are you seeing clear? Are you seeing clear?
On 2x or the main sensor, if you look on the background, both are set to strength number 5, but the background blur is creamier on Galaxy S25.
Are you seeing clear? Are you seeing clear?
Honestly, on the main sensor, I think both phones are doing really well. Not much of a difference in terms of portrait shots. I guess the same as the ultra-wide, S24 has stronger contrast.
Blow your mind. Now let me show you something that'll blow your mind.
On portrait zoom, we have a 10 megapixel 3x optical zoom. I think in terms of image quality, they're almost the same. The only upgrade on S25 is the 5x digital crop if you need that 135mm shot.
This is going. Make you look twice. Make you look twice. All of this looks like gold. What a touch, what a touch, what a touch turns to gold.
On the selfie shooter, I like Galaxy S25 more. It's a little bit washed out on Galaxy S24 if you point this on an area with strong light source. Also, the skin tone is a little bit yellowish on the older model. But again, looking at the face, there's more details on S24. We're starting this video quality test using the selfie camera in 4K 60 FPS. So both phones has 12 megapixel sensor, a little bit warmer on Samsung Galaxy S24 and natural looking on Samsung Galaxy S25. In terms of contrast, looking at my shirt, I think I like both phones. Almost the same, again, just a warmer feel on Galaxy S24. Now let's check the rear cameras. Now this is the video quality test starting with the ultra wide lens in 4K 60 FPS. So again, 12 megapixel sensors for both phones. I like the brighter look on Samsung Galaxy S24 and a more natural looking tone on Galaxy S25. Now let's switch to the main sensor. Now checking the main sensor, another 50 megapixel sensors for both phones. In terms of specification, there's no changes on the spec sheets of both phones. But I think in terms of video quality test, this is the best sensors you can find on both phones. This is in 4K 60 FPS. Now let's switch to the zoom. Now this is the battle of 3x optical zoom for both phones, 10 megapixel sensor. This is 3x optical zoom for both phones, 4K 60 FPS. So I think in terms of selfie video recording, main sensor, ultra wide, and the zoom, which phone do you think is better? The sky is a little bit toned down on Galaxy S25, but in terms of white balance looking at the road, they're almost the same. I think there's just a little bit more details on Galaxy S25 if you zoom in on the photos. The colors are also stronger looking at the reds and the oranges. In terms of exposure, it's a mixed bag for both phones. Sometimes it's better exposed on S24, sometimes S25, but I think most of the time, S25 is a bit brighter than the competition.
Throw off the rules like our shoes on the golden ground.
But honestly, if you don't do a side-by-side test, you probably won't know the difference. Galaxy S24 is still very good in terms of image quality. I think Galaxy S24 has some sort of software processing that smoothens the surface. I always notice if you zoom in on the photos, you would see more details on Galaxy S25, though both phones are tack sharp. In terms of field of view, both has the same hardware, so we have ultra-wide main sensor and 3x optical zoom. But if we crop in on the 30x, we have more detailed Galaxy S25. Both can shoot 4K 120 FPS slow motion, but the difference is we have two focal lengths on Galaxy S25 with that ultra wide. This is the portrait video test on both phones using the selfie camera in UHD 30 FPS. Let's switch to the main sensor. And this is the portrait video using the main sensor on both phones. I think they're almost the same. Now let's test the video stabilization. We're starting with the video stabilization test with the selfie video recording, 4K or UHD 60 FPS. So looking at the colors of the sky, a quick 360 for you to see the video quality difference. Now let's check the video stabilization. Now let's switch to the rear cameras. We are starting with the ultra wide lens on the rear cameras, 4K 60 FPS. Look at the flaring and the sky color, almost the same look, and even the exposure here. Now let's switch to the main sensor. By the way, on the older S24, you cannot switch lenses on 4K 60 FPS, but on S25s you can. Look at the quality of the sky and the exposure. You may also hear background noise because of the wind. So we're testing the video stabilization. Now we're switching to the zoom. Now we're testing the 3x optical zoom on both phones. Again, 4K 60 FPS. Still, you can switch lenses on Galaxy S25. You can't do that on Galaxy S24. Looking at the quality of the video, the exposure here. Let's check the video stabilization. Now we're switching to the 4K 30 FPS. So this is 4K 30 FPS. Now you can switch lenses on both phones. In terms of for the zoom, we have 12x on Galaxy S24 and also 12x on Galaxy S25. Again, switch back to the main sensor. Which phone do you think is better? If we check the night shots, both phones are really impressive. I think both phones have two of the best night shots on a smartphone. Obviously, both are flagship phones even though they're not the top of the line, but the software processing for night shots or HDR are pretty similar. I guess pretty much the difference on night shot is the white balance, cooler tone on S24, and warmer on Galaxy S25 with a little bit of colors. On pitch black condition, there's just two things I've noticed. The color accuracy on S24 is very good, while you have a more detailed S25, but there's just a little bit of purplish tone to it. The ultra-wide on S24 is brighter, but I think on the main sensor in 3x optical zoom, you got a bit of over-sharpened and detailed S25. We're starting this low-light video test using the selfie camera in 4K 60 FPS, the highest resolution for both phones. So we have 12 megapixel f2.2 with 26mm field of view. So same sensor for both phones but different software implementation. You got a brighter and more colorful S24 and darker but more natural looking S25. Now let's check the rear cameras. Now we're testing the rear cameras for both phones, starting with the ultra-wide lens or ultra-wide sensor in 4K 60 FPS. All sensors can shoot 4K 60 FPS, but only the main sensor can shoot 8K 30 FPS video recording. So in terms of specification, both phones has 12 megapixel f2.2 with 13mm field of view. It has super steady video. I pre-checked the video recordings of both phones. I think on Galaxy S24 it's a little bit brighter and better exposed than the natural looking Galaxy S25. Now we're shooting on the main sensors for both phones. So 4K 60 FPS still. We have 50 megapixel f1.8 with 24mm field of view. It has 1/1.56 sensors for both phones. So this is the best sensor for low light video recording. Now let's switch to the 8K video recording. Well, we're here in the main sensor, so might as well shoot the 8K 30 FPS video recording. So this is the quality for both phones. Now let's switch to the zoom. Now this is the 3x telephoto for both phones. I think this is the same 3x optical zoom on Samsung Galaxy S25. I think this is the same 10 megapixel f2.4 67mm field of view. This sensor has face detection, autofocus, and OIS, so it's really good sensors for telephoto. So in terms of selfie video recording, main sensor, even the 8K video recording and the zoom, which phone do you think is better? We have 8K 30 FPS video recording on Samsung Galaxy S24. And we also have 8K video recording on Galaxy S25. Same with S24. I think that's it for our camera comparison video. Which phone do you think is better? Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one.